would say yes, a little bit. This build that has been so rushed and actually has only been going on for 2 weeks has affected SummerSlam just a teeny little bit. And here's why. There was a CM Punk Gunther thing that really stood out like a sore thumb. Love these two together. Like, love them. I'd marry them if I absolutely could in separate ceremonies, but don't tell the other one because they may get jealous. But it was Gunther and CM Punk talking to each other, right? A proper past versus present versus future kind of a combo. Although CM Punk called him kid and Gunther turns 38 in 2 weeks. I should point out as well, I got a black eye from wrestling. Check it out on Progress. Go to Demand Progress Wrestling Plus and you can get it on there. Or you can see it on Triller. Not going to spoil anything else for you now, although I am going to talk about it on my Patreon, which is another massive tease. Patreon.com/Simon316. We're going to sit down and go through that match as soon as I can. I'm super tough. Not really. But don't you know this is right there? Anyway, people keep thinking I'm wearing eyeshadow. I am not. But because it is CM Punk and Gunther, I can't believe the match is this weekend. Like, these are two huge figures in the world of WWE. And all we've had is 2 promo offs, and it's not their fault at all. It's not even WWE's fault. Well, it is in the sense they should have stretched it out a little bit. You had the Gunther one last week where Gunther won, quote unquote, which is what he lent into here today. And you have the CM Punk one here, which he quote unquote lent in here today. I just thought we have skirted over so much stuff that we could have talked about. Love the whole best in the world idea, because Gunther can claim he's the best in the world. He's the champion, whereas CM Punk, that's his whole gimmick, his identity, I suppose. He talked about the list of Hall of Famers that he's totally ruined, which means he's justified this moniker, I suppose, whereas Gunther needs to earn it again by beating people like CM Punk. But then when that was done, I was like, that's it. The match is over. Like, I don't need Gunther to talk about, man, you don't love WWE because you left. Everybody else has done that. And also people like Drew and people like Seth, who were around the first time he kind of left. It just makes more sense for them to talk about it. Why does Gunther care? Gunther, again, is the ring general. He cares about wrestling, but there's absolutely other areas he could have touched upon in the sense he's Gunther. I mean, he's kind of Mr. Respect, but that's where he gets his heel heat from, not really. But he could have lent into that. It's like, you don't respect this stuff, you know, you do this, you do that, and you've been here and you've been everywhere. And I just think I could have... The build hasn't peaked for me yet because we needed an extra week to have it built. I don't mind them not getting physical. Not every single wrestling angle has to get them see physical. I just felt like there was a lot left on the table. Like, there's nothing wrong with me wanting or having me wanting more, if that makes sense. Like, less can be more, and more is bad, obviously. But this is somewhere in between. I could have used just a little sprinkle, just some icing on top, or maybe a bit of a cherry. But again, because we had that mad weekend, 2 weeks ago, or whenever it was, WWE could have started building to SummerSlam, and they did a little bit. We had to get through Evolution and Saturday Night's Main Event and all these other things. For example, it was Gunther versus Goldberg, and then we went right into the gauntlet match. So it's been 3 weeks. CM Punk to win, promo there. They just need one more promo off, right? Where they get more, not personal again, WWE and all that stuff, but just about the character traits of each. It's been a very competitive chat, which is also fine. It's just how I felt about it. But of course, they still did great. I would even go as far to say that CM Punk's promo for him, I don't want to call it generic because that's unfair, but a lot of the lines he was dropping was kind of lines we've heard before. But because CM Punk is Mr. GOAT when it comes to a microphone, it totally worked, and Gunther sold this well. And I think the best thing about it was it left me in a position where, because there was no physicality, I don't know who's going to win. I've convinced myself, we talked about on SummerSlam predictions, check them out from yesterday, there should be a card on the screen, but I've convinced myself that Seth Rollins will return, hence why we haven't made a super big deal about the injury, aside from Paul Heyman going, he's going to be away for a while. And if that is WWE's plan, it doesn't matter that it's leaked, quote unquote, just go with it. All you've done is create anticipation, really, which is fine. And you can either have Seth Rollins do a Mania 31 and turn it into a triple threat, or Punk can win stomp 1, 2, 3. That really gives that feud some heat, and you can put Gunther in there as well because he can be pissed off as long as you kind of come up with an interesting finish. So really good, but it did leave me a little bit sad in my tum-tum, which was the same for the tag team match that we main evented with, essentially Roman Reigns and Jey Uso taking on Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. And it was Bronson Reed versus Jey, and there's big schmoz, disqualification, distraction, interference, confusion. But because we only found out in the week on social media that this tag team match was official, we absolutely had to throw some heat on the fire. So we just had Bron Breakker go nuts. Now, it's very, very effective. And Bronson Reed was great here. After Bron Breakker had speared Jey Uso and Roman Reigns through barricade, Bronson Reed took his shoes. I was like, man, this is the kind of stuff we needed. And while I want Seth to be back ASAP, let's keep allowing these dudes' personalities to shine. Bron Breakker has been hilarious, especially that Sami Zayn promo from a few weeks ago when he just went crazy, like some sort of nuts old person, like an old man. And Bronson Reed doing these little things, even though he's a monster, he can get away with it because he's a monster. And he just told you that Roman and Jey are going to win, but that's always going to happen. But whatever we have to do to protect these two, we must do. I think ultimately, given how insane Bron Breakker was, Bronson Reed probably has to take the pin, but come up with an interesting finish because I thought it was very well executed. I love the fact that Bron Breakker couldn't have waited more than 5 minutes with like, screw this, I'm just going to interrupt, which actually, when you bring that sense of logic into it, it's not as bad when matches stop that way. But I just love this a lot. I thought it was really, really fun. And yes, it's made that tag team match feel like something where it's sort of, once again, it came together so quickly. A bit like, okay, I get Roman Reigns as a massive deal. And I love the fact he's not in the main event. It makes the card feel deeper if he comes out match 4 on Saturday, whatever the flub it's going to be. But it did need a little bit more gasoline, which is what this was. But it's another one that probably could have used another week. That's not necessarily true. You could have built this one up in 2 weeks and done all the things that we had done. But then stuff like Punk and Gunther is the one where you could have elongated it. Although I also felt the same about the Rhea Ripley, Io Sky and Naomi stuff. We threw them into a party match. That's what it was. Don't get mad at me. And it was excellent, man, right? It was just so good to watch. But when a championship is on the line and you have people of that caliber, again, Naomi's been smashing it this year. Every time Io Sky and Rhea Ripley fight, it's just next level stuff. You kind of want them to yell at each other a little bit, which I know we have done before, but I really would have liked Gunther, CM Punk type scenario for them too. That was just, I don't want to say disappointing because the match was fun, and again, the good guys won, and Naomi got hers. And you did have the bit afterwards when Io Sky was like, you've never beaten me, Rilla, don't forget that. But it did feel like a tick box exercise again. Just get them out there, do it. Just get them out there, do it. And yes, I would have loved them to, because a huge part of wrestling and allowing you to pick your guy, for lack of a better term, is hearing Rhea speak and hearing Io Sky speak and hearing Naomi speak. And Io Sky's been great recently with the way we talked about it, right? Even though sort of 50% of her promo may be in Japanese, she just dishes it out with so much intent and violence. She's like, yeah, man, that is super cool. And we had 2 party matches on this show as well. AJ Styles and essentially the Kabuki Warriors taking on Judgment Day. We should do more of this. I know WWE has the magical rule where if females tag in, they have to fight in the same with the males. But I thought it worked. I thought it was good for the tag team division because at least we're showcasing the champions, because obviously Alexa Bliss and, well, why weren't Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair here? That was my other pet peeve. I know I talk about this all the time. You have to forgive me. It doesn't matter. Who actually cares in the grand scheme of things? But the Secret Service were allowed to turn up on Raw, even though I thought they were SmackDown guys, but you never see Charlotte and Alexa at all. I don't mind, but I just know the draft is coming after SummerSlam and we're going to be told, oh, you better accept it's a big deal now. As I jump all over the place, it ties into the tag team match as well. Judgment Day, love them. Finn Balor, JD McDonald, such a good team. LWO, awesome, but they only popped back in 7 days ago, like they've been on vacation. And you got the commentators going, man, these LWO, they're on the cusp of something big. What are you talking about? You don't even feature them on the television. Once again, when you're watching it in the little box or the box-like structure, no problem at all. But it's the small things sometimes. Kevin Owens always talks about this, like not insulting your audience even by accident. And we kind of leaned into that a little bit, but it's only because we have to get so much in. And those Raw Tag Team Championships are not being defended on SummerSlam, which I do think is a shame, unless something comes out of nowhere. But that ties into what I've just said, right? We're not doing the kind of build that I think we need. And I would just get rid of the brand split by now. Okay, the draft will pop a rating, but then it always falls back anyway. And if we actually had all these teams together, the SmackDown teams, that are having the TLC match at SummerSlam, and then you've got the New Day, you've got the Judgment Day, you've got the War Raiders, you've got not Grayson and Waller, they're dumb. But there'll be other teams I'm not thinking of right now, the Creeds, who also just vanished into the abyss. I just think you'd be able to do more with it. And I'm actually talking like Raw wasn't good. I thought Raw was very good. I think it established everything that it needed to do, but it did leave me with a, I'm exaggerating, it's a slight empty feeling in my tum-tum when we could have jumped on more. I did like the opening promo between Jey Uso and Paul Heyman, because it was Jey Uso standing on his own 2 feet, right? Doesn't need Roman Reigns. He can talk for himself. Talked about winning the Rumble by himself. Talked about winning the world title by himself. Paul Heyman was saying terrible things about Santa Claus. Ignore him, kids. He's a bad guy. Of course Santa Claus and your parents work together. Obviously, I popped at the whole, apart from Jewish parents that don't tell their kids that, because we get all in with Hanukkah. Although, I think most Jewish kids these days have, what is he called on the OC? It was like Christmaka or something like that. I think that's become a thing. And more power to you all. Yeah, it was important to remind you that Jey Uso was standing tall. Although, again, there's a slight pothole there. I think Paul Heyman needs to mention more, and he's done it, that I only turned on Roman Reigns because after WrestleMania 40, he abandoned me. And not even Jey Uso talked about that. He talked about him screwing him over at WrestleMania 41 when he joined up with Seth Rollins and even CM Punk before then, but didn't ever mention that. Like, Roman Reigns built a rod for his own back here, and I'm amazed Jey Uso is even teaming with him after the emotional blackmail he drew him through. But it was good. Like, we took a lot of stuff here and we got it done. And I cannot wait for Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch. Like, Lyra Valkyria's promo, go check out what I did on What Culture Wrestling Ups and Downs. My big review where we go beat by beat. It's one of the most fun things I've done in a while. I mean, I'm abusing 2025 technology. But when I was here, listen, I am being too harsh on Lyra. But it's one of those things where you're like, in a context of wrestling, it works. But in the real world, what are you talking about? And that's just, it popped me to use wrestling language. And listen, I know she said in 2 weeks and then she meant 1 week. We all do that. She was going to say, and she did go on to say this, I'll be the first ever 2-time women's Intercontinental Champion. But she said the 2 at the wrong pitch. She recovered, quick. But Becky Stompers, can't talk out now, with her giant shoes. And then from nowhere going, well, maybe I'll fail. It was so good. It's like a promo I would cut. I'm going to beat you so bad you don't know it, or I won't. We don't know what's going to happen. But she really has, well, again, I'll just use the same phrase here. She's leveled up the last month or so, or maybe more than that now, 2 months, right? Becky Lynch has done good work. Bayley's done good work. Bayley was so interesting here too. Ever since I've come back, terrible, lost, can't win championships. And it's, did I say this yesterday, my predictions? I don't know. But I think Becky Lynch is going to hold on to her title now. I kind of done a 180 the last sort of 48 hours. Because Bayley getting involved because she's just so despondent. And maybe flipping her back heel, but as a more serious version, kind of like what Becky Lynch did, I suppose, and taking the Intercontinental title away from Lyra and her future opportunities against Becky Lynch, because that's the stipulation here, especially because you can get away from the distraction, interference, and confusion, because it is anything goes. I think that's a great story. Like Lyra, I think, has got to the point now where she doesn't need a belt to justify her position on the card. I think she's done great, and she's used that as a hopping off point. Becky Lynch is a superstar. So long as she holds that, and the more credence will go to the championship. And I think Bayley's on the cusp of something really interesting. So it remains some of the best stuff on Raw. It's one of my most anticipation matches of that weekend. I think it could be really, really good. And I think Becky Lynch retaining it is a little bit of a shock, especially if Bayley does get involved, like I say, and you have the justification that she can, because nobody can DQ her. I think maybe there's even some way you keep Becky Lynch attached with that, even though Lyra wouldn't be able to challenge her for her belt. I think Bayley can beat Becky, and then Lyra can beat Bayley, right? It's a wonderful triangle. They're doing great work. Everything here was awesome. But another reason I think Becky's going to win is because even though she came out with the kendo stick, it was indeed Lyra Valkyria that whipped her ass. And now I think Triple H is smart enough to know wrestling trope is whoever stood tall on the television is going to lose at the pay-per-view. So he may be tricking us, but I'll tick that box. Really, really good. I like this a lot. I thought it was very, very entertaining. As is everything with the Judgment Day. Like they obviously lost in their party match early on because AJ Styles got the win. So he's probably not going to become the Intercontinental Champion either. Although I did advocate for that yesterday. I think for a couple of weeks, just have some fun with it. But Dominic Mysterio playing video games with Roxanne Perez as Raquel Rodriguez had a meltdown because that's what Liv Morgan used to do. This is a wonderful group. In fact, we did my favorite groups ever last week, whenever it was, and I put them in. And I'm even happier that I did now because the Edge version, not good. We salvaged it. Then Rhea and Damian left and we were kind of in a weird position. I even thought they were going to break up. We salvaged it. Now Liv has gone when it felt like it was kind of ready to go away again. We salvaged it. They're like this, but they time their peaks and troughs, or ups and downs, I should say, wonderfully well. They are a modern time GOAT group, and Finn Balor even said that. So entertaining. Take themselves seriously when they have to. Don't take themselves seriously. Obviously, they still retain their tag team championships. This is the problem with the Raw tag team division. Who the flub do they fight now? The Creeds again? Or something like that. And the New Day did screw over Grayson Waller because Grayson Waller yelled at Sheamus. The New Day ran away. And then Sheamus killed Grayson Waller. No idea what we're doing with him. He has got mega ripped, which can only be of benefit. But then Rusev comes out and beats him up. I like that because we talked about this. The Rusev-Sheamus feud needed some meat on the bone, for lack of a better term, given that it is big men slapping man meat. At least this is it, a little bit stereotypical. The third match is coming. It's not going to be SummerSlam. Maybe in Paris we do it because that would be a fun thing for that sort of a crowd. But it does need more. It's kind of like the Rhea Ripley Io Sky thing, although that match is way up here. Just need them to yell at each other a bit more. It needs just some extra depth. I mean, I love watching them fight, but Rusev and Sheamus kind of feel like they come and go. It's just a bit wishy-washy, which is the opposite. For Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross seem to be always featured, but I also couldn't tell you what the story is about. But I think that's fine because it's the intent. Like Sami Zayn was doing a sit-down interview, in come Karrion Kross and Scarlett, and like usually, when they manipulate somebody, they fall off the perch, but Sami Zayn's not doing it. He can go on to be a world champion, but he has to admit the truth, and Sam's like, okay, look, if you can beat me, I'll say whatever you want, but I'm going to beat you, and I will become the world champion. I think it comes down to the idea that Karrion Kross believes that if Sami Zayn acted more like a penis, he would be more successful, but Sami Zayn wants to do it as a nice guy, so it's like a nice guy's finished last point of view. But I'm kind of repeating myself. Compelling television is compelling television. Even if you sit there in your brain, you're like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, man. So we'll see what they do. I'm a bit worried about Karrion Kross and Scarlett. I hope I'm being worked, which is fine. But there was a rumor on the internet the other day, their contracts are up in a few weeks and no one's even talked to them about a renewal. You always have to take this stuff with a pinch of salt because it's wrestling and things get out there from nowhere. But I am really into that as an idea at the moment. I don't know whether I'm a minority or not. You have to tell me in the comments. But I like the slow-paced, weird, different matches. It's not weird. It's just old school. It breaks up wrestling cards for me. So even though it goes slower paced than others, it makes the card feel faster because you can do a shorter match. It's like bada bing, bada boom. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I just thought both were great here. Again, interesting characters that are having a conversation that I feel like I'm almost sneaking in on, like a fly on the wall, but I don't 100% know what they're talking about. Hopefully they kind of iron that out a little bit, but it could just be me. But I liked it, and that's the main thing. So, in terms of a go-home episode for a pay-per-view, yes, it did the job. I just think it needed one more extra week to get you really pumped, right? I think it's crazy that WWE has done it like this because it is the first two-night SummerSlam, Hot WrestleMania. That's what they're trying to make it. Hence why we have John Cena, Cody Rhodes, and probably a big title change. Of course, they're going to do it again in 2026. If anything, more big events are going to be weekenders. So you need fans to leave here going, oh my gosh, going in, I was so on fire, and coming out even more fire. I don't think they've achieved that going in. I think they have a solid foundation. They haven't dropped the ball or anything, but I really do think with an extra week, with some great ideas and some great promos, you could have actually leveled it up above WrestleMania, because I think the show overall will be better. Kind of did a video on What Culture about that too, just because, especially with the Travis Scott stuff, WrestleMania 41 going back now is a bizarre show. It really is. And of course, we may get the babyface turn here as well for Cena, which would be huge. So, good overall. I don't know how enthused I am about a whole weekend of wrestling. I think I'd be more excited for SummerSlam on one night, but that may just be specific to me because I'm blessed to watch all of these shows, and it can feel like wrestling overload here and there, but at least it gives us stuff to talk about, and I think that's fun. On paper, really good card, and I think there's going to be a lot of title changes. We said that prediction show yesterday. Don't think that's a problem. I think sometimes, as long as you can justify it with the narrative, you can send people home going, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. And it kind of resets Raw too, although I bet they announced the draft right afterwards and I'm going to lose my mind because I'm a massive nerd. Don't worry about me. Drop me a comment below. What do you think about Raw, CM Punk, Gunther, Roman Reigns? Throw me some predictions down there too and we can have a look. Although maybe go watch the predictions video and do it there because then I can sort of collate them all and see who is the man or the woman when it comes to predicting wrestling. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe. Video on the screen is SummerSlam predictions. Thank you very much. Otherwise, it's grillermind.com/Simon. Got 30% off on some flavors at the moment, so use my code Simon. It ships worldwide. Best fitness supplements ever. Can't go to the gym at the moment because I'm a bit beat up, but don't worry about that. Otherwise, it's patreon.com/Simon316. Talked about our watch-alongs. Simon Miller 316. If you want to come and say hello, Big Cartel and Pro Wrestling Tees for my merchandise. Search by name. Simon on TikTok and Simon, Miller, my name for cameo, personalized videos. All of those things would be cool. And thank you for putting up with my nonsense, right? I have fun. Hopefully you have fun too. I'll see you in the week.